Check. Yeah, let's get that out the way. Check. So this is part 2, Safe to Say, episode 6 right now, guys. Thanks for joining in. Welcome to Safe to Say, and let's get it done. All right, so part 2, right? We're talking about the police. We had a detailed conversation last time of what I think of the police in New York City and more or less why you guys see me the way you see me, right? But now today I want to talk about how the NYPD or police in general could actually mess up your neighborhood and not necessarily come to help us, but pretty much to sabotage and make it worse. And I'm going to explain from experience, so I'm going to give you some scenarios and pretty much give you guys insight on what's actually been happening throughout my course of community service and in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, or Brooklyn in general. So, pretty much for the last 10 years or so, I've been committed to youth basketball, to community service, to different projects within NYCHA complexes, and I've created a lot of enemies within those complexes and organizations. Pretty much every organization there just wants your numbers. They want your kids to show up, but they don't really want to help, right? And the reason why I say they don't really want to help is because they're getting government funding. Now, the way the government funding works is their job is to bring in kids' numbers into the gym or into the facility, and then they get paid for all those kids. So it's kind of like a guarantee. And if the kids don't show up, then those organizations start to reach out to other people to bring in those kids into those facilities. But intertwined with the NYPD has something called community affairs. And it's pretty much 2 guys in each precinct, male or female. And their job is to pretty much take in all community complaints and also community permits, community parties. Anything that's happening in the community, you pretty much go through them first. And that's red flag number 1. So the reason why they want to know what you're going to do is because they want to know how can they shut you down. So if you pretty much be like, oh, I'm doing a party, X, Y, and Z for this particular reason, they'll tell you only can have this X amount of people. And then once that happens, they pretty much tell you that then you gotta apply for a sound permit, and we're gonna have to charge you for that. Then you pay $25 fee. But this is only if the community affairs officer likes you. If he doesn't, he's pretty much gonna give you a hard time. So now let me give you my example of a hard time in my neighborhood, and pretty much why they're sent there to sabotage you. So originally, when I first started doing the Williamsburg Basketball League, I had problems with permits. So when I spoke to the original guy that did the league, he told me that all you needed was permission from the NYCHA complex, which is indeed true. But now, as a catch-22, the NYCHA complex, they give you permission, but they're not going to give it to you in writing because legally you got to have insurance and stuff like that. So when I first started, they didn't tell me any of this, and I pretty much did the basketball games, just straight out, no insurance or nothing. I made the shirts myself. We hired refs, got it done. So now Williamsburg in a whole didn't really care because there was no backlash coming back to them. They wasn't in charge of insurance or funding the league. They didn't have any money to give, and that's pretty much where they were. But I was smart enough to kind of get funding and sponsors throughout the neighborhood, so I didn't need their funding. So they kind of was mad at me for that, but they allowed me to continue to do what I was doing. So now I do this league probably continuously for 2 or 3 years before we have a family day, Williamsburg Day, one year, and there's a Captain Esposito from the PSA 3, and Detective O'Connell, which is the PSA 3 community affairs, and pretty much they come and they say that they see the game, they see everything's amazing, there's no problems with the community, everybody's having a good time. And technically we got to 8 p.m. to shut down everything, and the cops thought it was I guess a smart idea to shut it down an hour early. So Esposito sends her 2 rookie officers to me and pretty much tells me to shut it, and I'm like, hey, I thought we had to 8 o'clock. And they're like, oh, you pretty much do what we tell you to do, so you got to the time I give you, kind of. So I got mad. I'm like, yo, there's like 3 minutes left on the clock, bro. Like, you're bugging out. So I didn't even listen to them or whatever the case may be. And 3 minutes passed. Game cold. I dropped the table, put the table on the floor. Like, we gotta, clean up. And I'm like, I gotta speak to the supervisor, bro. Like, that's crazy. So, sure enough, Esposito was out there, and I talked to her and I explained my facts, and she tells me, oh, it's a safety issue and things like that. Basically making a lie. So what I'm saying, instead of her coming to me originally when she saw me doing the games and saying, hey, listen, how long it's going to be? I'm trying to finish by 7. I know you guys got till 8, but can you work with me? She shut us down because she had the power. So fast forward, I go to the 90th precinct now, and I pretty much explained this because I say, hey, listen, I try to get a permit. You guys refused to give me a permit. I said, I need permission. I got permission. And now I got shut down an hour early, which was unacceptable. So they take my complaint and they pretty much reach out to PSA 3. PSA 3 then asks me to come in for a meeting. So I'm ecstatic. I'm like, yes, finally get to speak to these guys. Next year I won't have this problem. They sit me down in a room, and Esposito comes out and she's like, so I heard you was bitching to the 90th precinct about us. And I'm like, bitching? Like, I wasn't bitching. She's like, yeah. You went over there and you was bitching. I said, no. I went over there for a meeting, something totally separate. I ended up talking about the basketball league, and they ended up asking me what happened, and I explained that, and then this is why we're in this conversation. She's like, yeah, bitching. So whatever. You already see the atmosphere at the end. I'm in a closed room with them. And then Detective O'Connell comes on. He's like, Lucas, real quick. Let's just talk. We all not good people, man. But we know about you. I'm like, excuse me? What do you know about me? And he pretty much says, oh, didn't you get pulled over by one of our officers a couple of months ago? So I don't know where he fished up this story, but indeed, the officer did pull me over. I rolled through a red light. I was a block away from a basketball thing. There was no cars left or right, and he saw me from like 2 blocks back. So he pulled up on me, but it was in front of the game, so he kind of like let me go. He was like, yo, can't be doing that. You got kids in the car. So you're absolutely right. It's just that the game has already started, and I had to get the kids out the car. So I was trying to, boom. Again, no excuse. I'm not saying there's no excuse, but the cops let me go. They let me rock out. So what is this coming up in a conversation for? But it just shows you how dirty they are. The back end of it, they're looking for dirt on you before they even meet you. That's how cops are. So again, this is the community affairs. Instead of him saying, hey, listen, I heard of all the things you do, and we just don't want this to happen again, and he ends up finding stuff till I could stop talking. That's pretty much what he did. And I felt like it was a slime ball move. So that was my first interaction with PSA 3, and then I came up with the idea of switching courts so I don't have to worry about PSA 3 no more. And I went across the street so I could deal with my guys from 90th Precinct. Well, I thought it was my guys. You know how that goes. So sure enough, go to 90th Precinct. We got Juan Roman and Kenneth Melendez in the 90th PSA. What do you call these guys? Community affairs. Community affairs on this side. So now Roman is retiring. He's giving the ranks to Melendez, and he kind of dishes me up to Melendez. Melendez is acting cool for the most part. A year goes by, and within that year, I guess he learned more about Lucas. And a couple of officers gets to him, and he called me a meeting, man. It was weird. Pops telling you. He pulls me in the office. Always, I'm getting calls saying that you're using my name. Out of it. Excuse me? I'm like, use your name now. I actually did use your name.
It was because my brother asked me what I was doing with basketball. My mom's really actually aware of what I'm doing, which is, he's aware of what I'm doing. He's like, oh yeah, but you know, cause they said something else, whatever. He just basically made it like, yo, don't use my name. You know what I mean? We're not that cool, which I already knew. Boom. So we go from there. 6 months this is like January. So now I need another 5 or 6 months before he has to do one thing for me. I only asked this guy for one thing this summer. And I asked him for 4 barricades, guys. 4. And this guy, Melendez, says, I got, 4 barricades. There's nothing. You can find these anywhere right now. And that's pretty much, I had to block off 2 barricades. I don't want nothing crazy. So he ends up coming to me saying he got me, this and that, whole 9 yards, he got me. And then 2 weeks before the event, I hit him up like, yo, what's up, man? I'm still waiting for them. He's like, yeah, the barricade squad, they released them a day before the event. I already put your paperwork in, whatever. The day before the event, yo, what's going on? He's like, oh, unfortunately they denied your request. And I'm like, yo, I already knew you were trying to play me, bro. Like, why not just tell me you're not gonna give me the barricades? Why lie to me this whole entire time? Oh, I'm not lying to you. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with them. So now if you're a police officer, you tell me if he's a liar or not. Because we already know the truth. Homeboy lied, bro. 4 barricades, you could have got that from the front of the precinct and gave it to me. You didn't need no request for that. But whatever. So I end up getting my van. I see 4 barricades like in a different neighborhood. This is like in Park Slope. I seen the 4 barricades on the side of the road. I'm like, what? Dump them in the car. Boom, 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 boom. I chain them up in the park. You believe this guy Melendez passes by the park, I guess like a week later, and texts me. He's like, yo, just so you know, there's already barricades there. I said, yeah, no thanks to you. Those are my barricades, bro. I already got them, or whatever. He didn't answer me or whatever. And that was pretty much my last time talking to him. But it sabotaged throughout. They didn't want me to do what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, and I always said this, if people realized that they didn't need police and they didn't need these entities to do community service, to do things in our neighborhood, then we wouldn't go to them. And that's why they make it hard for people like me to be out there doing community service, because they know that I could definitely make something out of it, and then I'm gonna show them that they gotta work harder. Like, when's the last time that the police did a basketball league for the kids? Exactly. So that was my biggest goal right there, guys. My biggest goal was to kind of tell you guys that they don't really care. Just like Michael Jackson's song, they didn't really care about us. It's 100% true. So they come into our neighborhoods and they act like they got our backs, and they pretty much, what it is also they building a team of snitches, So basically what they do is they come out and they kind of like, oh, well, you got this and you got that in the neighborhood, and how can you help us? And that's a lot of our conversations that we was having in those rooms in 90th precinct. So, and it's all about just, how can I help you? How can I help them? It was never really what can they do for me? And the fact I gave them like a slap in the face because I didn't need them at all. So I've done a tournament for 8 years straight, and I had not one fight, guys, not one gun incident, not one police call to the scene because of any of my events. So you're talking about at least 10 events every summer for 8 years, about 80 events. I even did an event in the Barclays Center, paid $4,000 for that. So they look at it like the statistics in New York is crazy, right? It's like, basketball games and stuff like that, they end up having a high involvement in shootings and violence for whatever reason, right? Especially the kids games. So when I go and I preach, hey, listen, I have a inner city tournament in the hood, smack dab in the middle of the projects,
and I have over 120 participants, and not one incident, not one problem. They look at me like, oh, so, and it pretty much is like, oh, you don't need us. But at the end of the day, they really are. So I'm like, okay, he don't need us now, but there's gonna be that day, there's gonna be that time. Just praying on your downfall. And that's what I've kind of learned. You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong. Again, all the police are not bad, but NYCHA and the police department, you know, NYPD definitely made it their duty to ruin community events and community leaders, community advocates. They took that all away because what they do is they have everybody in fear, and then they kind of, like what they did with me, they kind of spread the bad word of, oh, this guy's bad for your kids. When it's the complete opposite, you know? Yeah, 100% complete opposite. If you guys know me, you know everything with me is a lesson. Everything with me is a journey. I would never guide your kid or any kid in the wrong direction. Never. And a lot of people know that. And they look at me like, oh, he can't be that good. And that's kind of what the cops did. So now fast forward, you know, all the work that I've done within the community, right? And you would think that the 90th precinct would put the word out and actually try to help somebody like me. And what they did the opposite. They set up different teams to come into the neighborhood, and they act like it's not their fault. So that wasn't my team, that was my guys. And then I got to call this gentleman and call this gentleman. And it came to a point where even the captain was kind of getting mad at me. He's just like, oh, that's not my job. You know, like, it was just the stupidest things ever. But they literally plotted against me to make me seem like I was I am bad, you know. And fast forward, you know, we have a lawsuit pending because of that. Yeah. And the thing is, you know, the bad thing about it all is that I actually stopped doing community service. So they got what they wanted, right? Because they don't care. It's easier for them to pay me to stop than for me to keep on going and actually changing people's lives. They don't want nobody to ever leave the hood. They want you to be a victim to their protocol, which is pretty much getting arrested. You know, them knowing who you are. Then when you get into the precinct, they give you like a way out. Hey, if you tell us something, you know, we won't charge you. But what people don't know is that the way they got you in the precinct is probably illegal. So if you just shut up, they gotta let you go. When they let you go, you contact a lawyer and let the lawyer deal with it, and you probably get some money out of it. And they'll know not to mess with you particularly, but they'll come after somebody else around you. So, you know, unfortunately, we have these entities within us, you know. But I just want to keep you guys aware of, and that's why I did part 2, because I wanted to show you how they could bring somebody down. You know, they could literally rot within. You know, it's crazy. You know, and just if you guys ever want to test it, you know, anytime you ever see a police officer, just be like, officer, let me get a business card, just like that. And by law, the law is anytime somebody asks for a business card, they're supposed to provide you with one. If that cop says he doesn't have one, he's a liar, he or she, and is also in violation of the law, which is a CCRB write-up, and it could also go into like losing days or sick days or stuff like that. I mean, I guess they really don't care. That's why they just do it. But again, if you want to test a good officer or a bad officer, definitely do the business card trick. Just be like, hey, give me a business card. And you see how they answer. They answer you or lie to you or kind of like have a snarky attitude or, oh, I can't find them. And what do you need a business card for? And stuff like that. You already know it's a bad officer in front of you. So, you know, I want to give you guys tips. I want to give you guys tricks. I want to give you guys insight and a little bit of advice. Last but not least, please put down the guns, guys. Everybody in general, put down the guns, man. it's easier for you to live a life without the guns than for you to live a fast life with guns. So pick your poison. But thank you for watching, guys. Take care. Episode 6 of Safe to Say is done, and go and check on those police, man, and make sure they're doing their job right. You heard? Take care.